I have numerous favorite memories. One of the things that I've gained throughout my history with the Y is a number of strong mentors in my life, men and women who I have looked up to as leaders and who I wanted to emulate being in their position. And I have some great memories of my very first counselor at Camp Echo, whose name was Polly O'Brien. And she was actually the assistant counselor in Friendship Lodge in 1969. And I can remember that we had some sort of program where we were to dress up our counselors and then parade them in front of the rest of the camp and persuade the rest of the camp that they were the best counselors in camp. And I just remember Polly being so funny and so willing to do anything that we as 8 and 9 and 10-year-old little girls asked her to do. And I can remember taking time out and saying, I want to be just like that. I want to have kids feel about me the way that I feel about her. And I saw that same sort of mentoring going on in my kids' preschool classes at the Y. I see it every single year in members of the Camp Echo staff. And I think that's what keeps me young and coming back year after year, knowing that we can create that role model for the kid who really needs it and is just looking to see who they might be able to be in the future. Well, one of my favorite memories of Camp Echo happened when I was on the staff there, and it was not anything spectacular about the particular moment or the evening, but I was working with the barn crew, and it was that time in the evening as the sun was setting over the cornfield, and one of the more relaxing jobs of being on the barn crew is actually taking the tractor and the manure spreader out into the cornfield and spreading the horse manure to get rid of it for the next day. And I was with a good friend, Katie Tate, and she was driving the tractor, and I was standing on the back of the tractor watching the manure, making sure that nothing mechanical went wrong with it. And I can just remember the sunset and the clouds and the green corn and the whisper of the wind through the pine trees. And I remember saying to myself, I'm never going to let myself forget how beautiful this place is and how special it is to feel a part of it and know that we're doing a dirty job, but for the benefit of the community. And that has really stuck with me. There are moments that happen every single day up there where you can get that sense of working together for the betterment of a community. And I think that's what I like best about camp. One of the great traditions that we have at Camp Echo, and we've had since, I think it goes back to the 40s at least, and probably before then. At the close of every camp session, we have our final campfire with the entire camp sitting around and sharing songs and stories and skits. Some of the older groups do presentations and songs and dances about their time at camp. And it's a time for everybody to sort of sit back and reflect on what's happened in that particular session and understand that as much as we would love to be able to recreate the previous 2 weeks, that we will never be able to. So in that, instead of worrying about recreating it or keeping it all in one fashion or another, we spend time in that closing campfire celebrating the uniqueness of our time together. And one of the closing activities is to stand together as a group and face the lake and shout the word echo and listen to the reverberation across the water and against the trees and the hills on the other side of the water, where the word echo echoes back to everyone in the campfire. And it is an inspirational moment. It's a moment where people know whether or not they've been to Camp Echo by saying, do you remember calling the echo? Do you remember seeing the burning triangle? The response to the echo is a a burning triangle that is erected across the lake to symbolize the body, mind, and spirit, the international symbol of the YMCA. And then we talk, have counselors come and talk about each of those three integral sides of an equilateral triangle, the body, the mind, and the spirit, which is what the Y is all about, developing and supporting and enhancing every aspect of every person who walks through our door. And we're pretty good at understanding that that's fundamental to our mission and to what we do every single day. I think one of the things that the Y does the best is be a crossroads for the entire community. I'm involved in a lot of other organizations, sitting on a lot of boards and a lot of other committees, and things that I strongly believe in and feel passionate about. But the YMCA is one organization where everyone can belong and feel a part of and find something that interests them or involves them or makes them feel passionate. And I think that's entirely too unusual in our community. I wish there were more places like McGaw where everybody felt as passionate about the program and the mission and the accomplishments as we do about the Y. I believe that the Y is a trendsetter, that we as an organization can identify some of the needs in our community, and we're some of the first organizations always to stand up and say, we'll help with that. We can find a resource or a way to make a difference in whatever challenge faces the community, and we're interested in doing that. I love that about Evanston. And we aren't alone in that, thank goodness. But it's nice to feel that we have community partners who watch out for this community and take care of this community in such an understanding and loving and comprehensive manner. I really like the word strong in our 125th logo. To some people, strong is like physically fit. That is not what strong says to me. Strong to me is kind of like a pillar of the community, a pillar of strength, a pillar of comfort and welcoming, the ability to stand out in this community as a place where everyone is welcome and encouraged to become active and engaged and give us a little bit of themselves. 125 years strong. There aren't a lot of organizations that live through 125 years and still remain a pillar in the community. And I think we take great pride in the fact that we've grown with Evanston and helped Evanston to grow. And that's what strong means to me in our 125 years strong. My dream for the next 125 years is that the McGaw YMCA and Camp Echo remain strong in this community, well known, with the reputation of being open and welcome to everyone who cares to participate. I hope that over the next 25 years we continue to lead this country in this town, this community, because it's more than Evanston. It really is all of our surrounding neighbors, and that we continue to be a leader in all that is right within the community. We continue to be able to see the challenges faced by our community members, and that we continue to help to fill whatever gap that is, whatever challenge that is. That people see us as the not necessarily the experts, but certainly a resource to look to for guidance or leadership in the community. I hope that in 125 years that my grandchildren will be serving on the board of directors and feel as passionately about Camp Echo and the McGaw Y as I do right now. And I hope that they get a chance to see what we did 125 years before, to understand where we've come from and what our hopes and dreams for the future are. It's not hard to think back at all. This weekend at Camp Echo, we celebrated a life memorial service for Neil Featherstone, who was the Camp Echo director from 1958 until 1969, the longest serving Camp Echo director in our 110-year existence. And Neil was a man who was just finishing his term as director when I was starting as an 8-year-old at Camp Echo, 9-year-old at Camp Echo. And yet, he touched my life in so many ways because he did remain involved with camp. We all knew who he was. Even after he had been the director, he stayed in the Fremont community and would be a frequent visitor to camp. But this past weekend, in celebrating his life, we had numerous members of his staffs from 58 through 69 who came back to camp, some for the first time since the 60s, to celebrate his life with us. And in talking to those people who were either campers or staff members when Neil was at camp, you understand the legacy and the importance that camp memories leave with people and impact on people's lives. One of the most rewarding things about my alumni work with Camp Echo is that I find people every single day, some of whom have only spent 2 or 3 weeks at camp, maybe in their entire lives, and yet when you find them and say, Camp Echo is looking for you and wants to keep in touch, their response is always, some of my best memories, best things that ever happened to me as a child happened at Camp Echo. I will never forget it. And that is something inspiring. That is something that we should be doing in everyone's lives, and I get the joy of knowing that we are making a difference in kids' lives and in adults' lives. And just sitting in that memorial service that was held in the Camp Echo Chapel this last weekend, looking around at the people who were there, brought a feeling of warmth and joy to my own heart, just knowing how much our program and our place and our people mean to each other. I have some personal things that I would like to share about the men and women who were the leadership and the staff at the Y as I grew up. I went through a pretty turbulent middle school, high school, where my family was going through a divorce, and I could have crumbled. I could have had a really difficult and different path in those days. But it was those folks, Zenal Moore and Doug Monahan and Bill Geiger and Christy Pollock and Carolyn Morby, who gave me a set of parameters, a set of role models that I could look to and say, even though things in my own life are kind of crummy right now, I want to be like them. I want to do the things that they do. I want to know the things that they know, and they helped me to find that path, and I will be forever grateful that they didn't let me slip through the cracks. And so to them all, I say thank you.